Hello, monkeys. Hello, giraffe. Hello, elephant. This was a nice day.
Know your place, worm. Prepare yourself. Damn Saiyan.
There is only one thing missing from Dragon Ball Super Broly that would have really put the movie on a completely different level and wouldn't have changed much of the movie. It would have just made it a little bit better, and that is Cooler. And with that, I want to give a huge shout out to Daimaho584, who created this beautiful concept of Cooler being at the introduction of the Frieza race, or at least Frieza, to the Saiyans. He also created this piece of art right here where we see what looks like Goku if he had never hit his head on planet Vegeta, but this could also be interpreted as maybe Bardock before he got his scar, because Bardock and Goku look very similar, and this seems to portray the same introduction from the Cooler fan art where we see Frieza being introduced from the Saiyans. Goku would have been far too young to be at that presentation, so take it as you will. This video is not about fan art. It is about Before I begin, I just want to tell you guys, each and every one of you who has wished me happy birthday. Some of you guys even send me presents. I appreciate you guys wholeheartedly. There was a lot of people, more than I thought, and the video itself actually exploded on Friday, decently enough, over the weekend. You guys know I took those 2 days off, so I was pleasantly pleased with that, and I was really happy. So thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for wishing me a happy 29th birthday. Now, when it comes to this brand new Dragon Ball Super fan manga, I'm just happy that I am bilingual and can read Spanish, because this whole fan manga is completely in Spanish. And don't worry guys, if you can't speak or read Spanish, I'm here for you. That's why you got me. I can do it, and I'll translate it for you. Now, this is only the first chapter, and they say they're going to come out with more chapters as time goes on. So definitely keep an eye out for this fan manga, but the events really follow very similarly to what we see at the beginning of Dragon Ball Super Broly, except for a couple of slight changes. But it looks like as the fan manga continues, there will be far more changes happening to this story. Now we begin with King Cold's army arriving on planet Vegeta, and he brought along the Ginyu Force, his normal soldiers, Frieza's nanny, and of course the biggest noticeable change of this roster, Cooler. Cooler is in the building, and he is part of this envoy to introduce Frieza to the Saiyans. The King Cold Force arrives on the planet, and as they did in the movie, they kind of just fly through buildings and destroy everything, really leaving a bad taste in the Saiyans' mouth. And we do see Gine in this panel looking up in horror at the destruction that the King Cold army is punishing planet Vegeta with. These panels look like they were ripped right out of the movie. We see King Vegeta and his envoy coming to greet King Cold. King Cold gets off the ship with some of his soldiers. We see Frieza come up and Cooler right behind him. King Vegeta tries to greet King Cold, but King Cold cuts right to business and introduces his son Frieza to the Saiyans, to King Vegeta's shock. And we don't get Frieza saying this line.
Hello, monkeys!
In this story, Cooler is the one that says this line, and I see why they did this, because they tried to give Cooler some shine and something to say during this fan manga, because basically what it's doing, it's following everything that the movie did, but you have to add Cooler into this reception, so he's got to have a little bit of interaction with the Saiyans. King Cold tells King Vegeta that he is going to retire and leave his army in the hands of Frieza, but it's not very apparent whether he's leaving just a portion of this army to Frieza and the Saiyans fall under this, because Cooler is now in the picture, and you would think that he would get a piece of the pie if his father was retiring. I'm assuming it's the latter because Cooler is part of this fan manga as opposed to the movie where Frieza gets everything. And King Cold tells him that basically everything is going to be the same way that it was. You'll just find that Frieza is less forgiving and more despicable than he is. And then we cut to Cooler, which I definitely love the way Cooler looks in this panel. I like the design. And what he's thinking about what his father's doing is, I'm hoping that my father knows what he's doing, so he knows what Frieza's temperament is and how vile and cruel more than likely he is. I think Cooler probably just follows more along his father's lines where he's more reasonable. And of course his father did not know what he was doing because Frieza led the Frieza Force into ruin and accidentally created the Super Saiyan warrior. So this is probably a bad decision. Frieza explains about the scouters and then murks all the Saiyan snipers that were aiming guns at them from the towers above. The Frieza Force leaves and we actually get Bardock's team actually interacting with the story. They don't think that they should be ruled under the Frieza Force and that they should stand up for themselves and stand up for the Saiyan race. Bardock's there the entire time along with his crew, and he asks King Vegeta, "Are you okay?" King Vegeta responds, "Of course I'm okay, get your dirty hands off of me." And I think that's playing into the class system. Remember, Bardock is a low class warrior while King Vegeta is obviously the king, so he'd be like the highest of the high, so he doesn't want anything to do with Bardock, and he probably is upset that Bardock realized that he's visibly scared of the Frieza Force. And then we get someone calling out to Bardock saying that it's a huge surprise to see his old friend here, and he turns around and it's Paragus. Paragus and Bardock seem to be old friends, and Paragus asks Bardock how he's doing and if he wouldn't mind coming with him so he can show him something, and that is where chapter 1 ends. Guys, I'm just happy that my Spanish skills actually came in handy with this and I was able to read this whole thing fairly easily, even though they are a little bit rusty. But I do like this fan manga. I do like the direction it's going and the fact that it's introducing not only Cooler, but a friendship between Bardock and Paragus. That is by far the most interesting aspect of it because it shows that Goku and Broly could be really good friends if Goku's and Broly's dads were really good friends. And I just am a huge supporter for any fan mangas that want to cover anything about Dragon Ball Super or the Broly movie. I think there's a lot of room there to cover a lot of interesting topics. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. This is going to be Blackscape signing off. Take care guys.